The realm. Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agree to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 8 breakdown video. Today I will be taking a look at Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 3, which is called The Long Night. As we all know, this was set up to be the biggest battle in television history. They spent 55 nights filming the battle at their Winterfell set in Belfast, Northern Ireland. I don't know how many of you did watch the behind the scenes footage of them filming the battle, but what the cast and crew were able to do was incredible. Regardless of how you felt about the episode, you can't deny the amount of work that goes into the show. It really is amazing how they are able to bring a medieval fantasy story to life by using today's technology. Now, as dark as this episode was, I also thought there were some really gorgeous shots in some of these scenes. One of my favorites has to be when we can see the dragons flying up above the clouds when the moon was in the background. That looked incredible. Winterfell's Godswood also looked incredible when the moonlight was shining through the weirwood tree. I also really liked when Daenerys tried to burn the Night King with her dragon. That was a really terrifying image of the Night King surrounded by the dragon fire. I also did happen to like the new look they gave the Night King. Now maybe it was just the settings on my TV, but the Night King looked extra vibrant in the episode. The first time I did watch the episode, most of the scenes were too dark for me to see everything that was happening, but then I watched it for a second time on my OLED TV, and I do have to say the battle scenes looked really great, for the most part. So like I said in my last video, I thoroughly enjoyed how they opened up the episode. There were some great shots of the Stark's castle, along with all these different armies that came together to fight alongside one another against a common enemy. But then, there was complete silence that fell over the entire battlefield. I can only imagine how terrifying it would be to stand there just waiting for death to appear out of the dark abyss. It kinda reminded me of looking into the ocean during the middle of the night. It's very calm and peaceful, but you just know there are monsters lurking in the shadows. After a few moments, Melisandre slowly starts to appear out of that darkness. You have to wonder, how the hell did the army of the dead not see her? Where did she come from? This really added to that ominous atmosphere that set up these opening scenes of the battle. When Melisandre shows up and ignites all their weapons, it does give everyone a bit of a confidence boost. It certainly had me excited because I immediately wondered what else could she do. This is also when they started to show some more signs that maybe Arya has a bigger job in the battle than we originally thought. As soon as Melisandre gets inside of the castle, her and Arya lock eyes for several moments. At the time, I just assumed it was because they recognized each other from Season 3, but Melisandre obviously knew more than she was ready to reveal at that time. She had to wait for the right moment to say something to Arya, otherwise it could have thrown off the entire battle, almost like a butterfly effect. Now, when the battle does begin, it's complete chaos. Their battle strategy goes right out the window, like we all knew that it would. Daenerys essentially did what Jon did during the Battle of the Bastards. Just like when Jon saw Rickon about to die, Daenerys got on her dragon when she saw all of her men starting to die. It really did look and feel amazing though when Daenerys started to lay down dragonfire on the thousands of whites charging ahead. It's safe to say the dragons really do make a difference. Now, I was actually very surprised that Ghost made it out of the opening charge alive. I don't recall ever seeing him for the rest of the battle, but he was in the trailer for the next episode, so I know he did make it. As soon as I saw him next to Jorah Mormont, I thought he would die for sure, but he did live to fight another day. This would become a common theme throughout the entire episode because they did not really kill off as many characters as they probably should. As far as I could see, they had all the main characters standing right at the front of the lines, other than the ones that were on the battlements. All of these main characters were taking on an overwhelming amount of whites. I just can't see how they all would have made it out of that fight. As much as I like Samwell, there is really no reason why he should have made it out of the battle. We know Sam cannot fight. I saw him get overwhelmed by whites several times over the course of the episode. It happened on the battlefield, then on the battlements, then once again in the courtyard. The fact that he was able to fend off that many outnumbered attacks is kinda ridiculous. I thought they would work around this by having Sam do something else during the battle. It did not make a lot of sense to have Sam survive when so many other battle-tested soldiers are getting killed left and right. You can almost say the same thing about Jaime Lannister. Now, we all know he was one of the greatest swordsmen in Westeros, however, that was before he had his hand cut off. Ever since then, Jaime struggles to even hold a sword. How the hell did Jaime survive the battle? Aren't they facing the most dangerous threat Westeros has ever known? Yet very few from the main cast actually died. Since they did have Jaime and Sam survive the battle, I can only assume they have a bigger part to play later. Otherwise, why are they keeping them around? Jaime will most likely see Cersei Lannister again. Now, I did think it made sense for characters like Arya, Brienne, and Sandor Clegane to survive the battle. We know they are some of the best fighters in Westeros today. It also made sense for Beric Dondarrion to die during the battle. I always said he would sacrifice himself, only he did it for Arya instead of Sandor Clegane. We later find out from Melisandre why Beric wanted to save Arya. Now, we did see some other minor characters die, like Dolorous Edd and Lyanna Mormont, but the two that had the biggest emotional impact on me were Ser Jorah Mormont and Theon Greyjoy. Although he was sort of a secondary character, Jorah Mormont is one of the few characters that was still alive from the opening episode of the series. I did like the way that they ended his story. He always said he would die for Daenerys, and that's exactly what he did. At a time when she needed someone there the most, Jorah came out of nowhere to save his Khaleesi. He definitely went out like a soldier. Now, unfortunately, since we saw Jorah Mormont and Lyanna Mormont die, this very well could be the end of their house. Lyanna Mormont's mother died when fighting for Robb, and Lyanna died fighting for Jon. This was obviously not a very big family, but they did make a big impact on the show. Now, in a crazy turn of events, I think Theon Greyjoy had one of the best character arcs in the show. He never did face off against his uncle Euron like I had hoped, but I really can't think of a better ending for that character. We saw Jon forgive him last season. Then we saw him and Sansa become very close. Then we saw him save his sister and she forgave him. Then, of course, for his final scene, Bran Stark thanked him, and he said that he was a good man. Like I said in some of my other videos, I know some of you still hate Theon Greyjoy, but I did get very emotional during his last few scenes. I also want to mention the music they played during that final scene. I thought it was outstanding. It did kinda remind me of The Light of the Seven, only this one was a little more somber. Now, before I do start talking about the final scene, let me go back just a little bit. There was a moment during all the chaos that I thought was very powerful. Right before they light the trenches on fire, we see Grey Worm have to make one of the toughest decisions of his life. He can see the Whites are forcing his men all the way back to the trench. He has to make the decision, do I wait and see if they can hold him off, or do I collapse the small bridge and sacrifice all of those men? I really felt the impact of that moment, and I also want to say I was very impressed by the Unsullied during the battle. These soldiers are some of the bravest son of a bitches I've ever seen. They continued to stand their ground even in the face of death. It was actually kind of inspiring. Now, even though most of the battle plans were a complete disaster, I did like that they were able to convey that in some way. Now, I am a little concerned about Dany's dragons. We obviously saw them in the trailer for the next episode, but they were getting their asses kicked a few times in that episode. When Jon and Dany were fighting the Night King in the sky, we could see Viserion digging his claws right into Rhaegal's chest. He was also getting his neck ripped apart as well. I'm wondering how much longer he could hold up in the future battles. I'm also not entirely sure how much damage Drogon suffered when all those Whites were climbing all over him like a crazy flea infection. It looked like hundreds of Whites were on him, and I saw they were also stabbing and cutting him at the same time. I remember seeing Drogon at the end of the episode next to Dany and Jorah Mormont, but I just hope that they have enough time to recover before they're thrown into battle again. They will eventually fight Cersei, but maybe a couple months or so go by before it actually happens. Jon and Dany will eventually relocate to Dragonstone, so maybe they can take a break during that time. I don't know, but I do know they definitely need it right now. Now I want to make my way to the final scene. This was one of those moments that damn near broke the internet. This has completely divided the fan base, which I think does suck. Unfortunately, some fans like to instantly go to attack mode whenever someone has a difference of opinion. So hopefully, if there is a debate in the comment section of the video, try to keep it respectful. Now let's start when Jon almost has a chance to face the Night King 1 versus 1. After we see the Night King's dumbass fall off of his dragon and Dany tries to burn him with Drogon, Jon sees it as an opportunity to go after the Night King. Not only was he on foot, but damn near all the Whites around him were dead. This is when I thought we would finally see Jon get to challenge the Night King. I can't even begin to tell you how badly I wanted this in that moment. Jon knew that the Night King was heading straight for the Godswood. All he basically had to do was walk across the courtyard and he would have been there within a few minutes. I actually think the Night King was scared to fight Jon in a sword fight. He already knew that Jon had some kind of a special weapon in order to do that, so instead of accepting the challenge, he raised the whites to keep Jon at a safe distance. Not only did that occupy Jon, but it also kept Jaime, Brienne, and Jorah Mormont busy. Now they were surrounded by their own men. Everyone that had a Valyrian steel weapon was now completely screwed. They were surrounded by whites, while the Night King had a straight shot for the Godswood. The only character who had a Valyrian steel weapon that was unaccounted for at that time was Arya Stark because she was still inside of Winterfell. So, the Night King raises the dead, Dany saves Jon, then it gives Jon another opportunity to get the Night King and save Bran. Now this is where things actually get interesting. I know there were some fans that had issues with how the scene worked out, but I started to appreciate it more after I watched it a second time, and I will tell you why. When Jon Snow enters the courtyard, all he has to do is make it to the other side. Then he's basically less than 100 yards away from getting to the Night King and Bran. At this moment, Jon already knows the Night King has a head start. Not only does he know the Night King has a head start, but he also knows the Night King isn't getting slowed down by anything because the whites are all on his side. So Jon only has minutes or maybe even seconds to get through all of this chaos to try to get to the Night King before he kills Bran. Every second Jon is slowed down is another step closer the Night King is to killing Bran. Unfortunately for Jon, this courtyard he needs to make it across is completely covered in whites. He sees Samwell Tarly on the verge of getting killed, but he has to make a very tough decision. I don't even have 2 seconds to help Sam or else Bran is dead. I have to leave my friend for dead or else we're all finished. We get different shots of all the chaos in the small confined area. Jaime Lannister is about to die. Brienne, one of the greatest fighters in Westeros, is about to die. The crypts of Winterfell, which are right under Jon, are coming alive at this moment. Daenerys and Jorah Mormont are getting surrounded right outside of the gate. It looks like Jon is our only chance. If he doesn't get across this damn courtyard, everyone he has ever known or loved is dead. He has to work his way through dozens of whites just to get from one area to the next. Jon has to use every last ounce of energy he has just to make it there. Just when it looks like he will make it in time, Viserion comes crashing down into the damn courtyard to block his way. If he can somehow get around that dragon, he might be able to make it. All he has to do is get around the dragon, but Viserion is not about to let that happen. Jon makes several attempts, but he has to fall back and take cover every single time. He cannot and will not make it around Viserion. Jon is now in complete exhaustion. He knows he can't make it. He's tired, he's weak, he's bleeding from all over his body. The dragon is just too damn big. He's finished. He can see the finish line, but he knows he will never cross it. He is so close to getting to Bran he could probably smell the damn Godswood, but he now knows the Night King has already made it there, and it's too late. Bran is most likely already dead. When Jon finally stands up and screams in the dragon's face, some fans thought it was ridiculous. Why would Jon do that? How could that possibly help him kill the dragon or get to the Night King? Well, this is what it looks like when you know you are defeated. Jon screaming in the face of the dragon is all of his anger, all of his exhaustion, all of his pain, all of his frustration. All the time he spent in the Night's Watch leading up to this moment. All the sacrifices he has made to ensure that he could save the realm. He died to bring the people together to stop the common enemy, but in the end, not even that will be enough. I see this as an emotional breakdown. Jon knows it's over, but if he's gonna die, then he wants to go out standing on his feet. I thought it was a great moment after watching it again. Now we go back to the Godswood. The Night King stops right in front of Bran, and for a moment, they are making eye contact with one another. But then Bran lowers his eyes to the Night King's chest, then he raises them back up to make eye contact again. I think Bran was looking right at the area where the dragon glass was inserted into his body. Then, it's almost as if Arya gets shot out of a cannon because she comes out of nowhere to surprise the hell out of the Night King and the millions of fans watching across the globe. Like I said in my last video where I gave my initial thoughts, I was not expecting that to happen. Now I knew something had to happen because I could not see them ending the episode by having the Night King kill Bran. Out of all the different scenarios that were running through my head in the moment, none of them involved Arya coming at the Night King quite like this. If they were trying to shock me, then they definitely accomplished that. I thought the Night King was about to kill Arya. Then I thought, is Bran about to stab the Night King when his back is turned? I wasn't sure what was about to happen next. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. If you've seen my videos, then you probably could have guessed I would have liked to see Jon and the Night King face off against each other. Ever since their stare down at Hardhome, their second stare down beyond the wall, I thought it was leading to an epic showdown between Jon and the Night King. I was highly anticipating getting to see how well the Night King could do in a sword fight, but obviously we did not get that. We did not get any more flashbacks from Bran Stark, and we did not learn anything from the books Samwell took from the Citadel. That was very disappointing because I was hoping to learn more about the Night King and or the White Walkers. Now, obviously the show is not over yet. Maybe we can still find out more information before everything is all said and done. Even though I did want to see Jon Snow fight the Night King, I did also say that if someone else were to kill the Night King besides Jon, then I would want it to be someone from Winterfell. Arya Stark would be the next best option because Sansa cannot fight whatsoever and Bran really can't do much either. I wanted it to be Jon, but Arya is not a bad second option. I have now seen the episode 3 times and each time I watch it I find something new that I like about it. I'm actually glad that I waited to make the breakdown video because I did not want to react off of just my emotions after the episode ended. I wanted to take some time to think about how the episode unfolded and what it means for the future of the show. So, we shall see how things go from here on out. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching the video. As always, I really appreciate that. And I also want to thank everyone for supporting the channel. I hope you have a great day. I will see you again very soon. Bye.